No. Hello, Internet. Good to see you again. So the question du jour, question of the day is, what would wild wugwumps and Whigs want? Or, what would wild Whigs and wugwumps want? If that's not a tongue twister, I don't know. Well, what are wild Whigs and wugwumps? For those of you who studied your American political history, you might know about these things, like the Whig Party and the wugwumps. I mention this mainly as an outlier. It's not really important what they want because they're not around anymore. But the point is, what would outliers want? And what am I talking about? Outliers, by outliers I mean outliers on the distributions. What distributions? Well, there's the normal distribution, there's the Laplace distribution, and there are others. Feel free to look them up. If you don't want to do your own research, well, can't really help you there. Outliers, when it comes to distribution, tend to remain outliers for a certain period of time. They're not always outliers. And when it comes to things like outliers of returns, well, what do returns do? If you've watched my videos about trading, you know that returns mean revert. That means when you calculate the mean of the returns of an asset or anything moving through a distribution model, if you have an outlier where you have a very high or a very low performance and the returns are very high or very low, for example, beyond a second standard deviation away from the return or the mean of the returns, or a second Laplace distribution away from the mean of returns, eventually those returns are going to return. Those returns are going to mean revert to the mean. In other words, they're going to go back to the mean. Why is that? Well, that has to do with the volatility, because the volatility sets the price, and the volatility, which is the standard deviation of returns, can only expand and contract. And the correlation of that volatility to the price can only expand or contract as well. So at some point you get expansion, at some point you get contraction. And when both of those things return to the mean, well, that's when you have the mean reversion. Now, of course, you can have mean reversions at different times, on different time frames, or in different look-back lengths, etc. But the volatility will eventually revert to the mean after it has fully expanded. And you can say the same thing the other way around. When the volatility is extremely low, it has nothing left to do but expand. And the same goes for the correlation of price. And by using these two things, volatility and the correlation of price, you can very easily determine the direction or the likely direction of price. Now, if you've been watching my videos about trading, hello, you know that there's more to just trading than simply volatility. There's entropy, and there are probabilities, and there are statistics. And that's why we call this form of trading VEPS, VEPS, volatility, entropy, probability, and statistics. So when I ask you, what would wild Whigs and Wugwumps want? Well, they were political outliers. They were beyond the second standard deviation of political returns. They had their time, and soon they mean reverted. Or soon after, they mean reverted. And in what sense did they mean revert? Well, in the political sense, they reverted to the mean of the mainstream. So why does this matter? Well, it matters because when you consider the incredibly high probability outliers that they had attained in their short time as effective organizations, they pulled off great improbabilities. And therefore it was only natural that at some point they would return to the mean. Did they necessarily have to fold and disappear? Well, other than for historical reasons, no. Could they have found a way to stay relevant and remain active? Yes, they could have, but they failed to do so. Partly because they were built on the foundation of a very small set or even an individual leader. And this basically held them back from growing. Because after the relevance of their leader had passed, there was no one for whom the leader, or to whom the leader could pass the torch. And as a result, they faded off into history. And the same can be said for other types of outliers. Whether we're talking about political outliers, financial outliers, or any other kind. It doesn't really matter. Statistical outliers will and do mean revert when the returns have moved far away from the mean. I know. It's like I'm banging a drum, saying the same thing over and over again. I say this because the current system that enables the methods by which trading is done tends to be very corrupt, controlled by big money, and has a very specific goal, which is to keep retail traders down. You need not take my word for it. It is a statistical proven fact. When you look at all of the bad technical analysis that is pushed from the very highest echelons of the financial market all the way down to the retail traders, the upper echelons of the financial industry have one goal in mind, and that goal is greed. It's to amass as much wealth as they possibly can, taking it out of the hands of retail traders so that they control the markets, and retail traders feed the markets with their hard-earned petty cash or liquidity that they're able to provide from meager little accounts. And if you think your $100 investment in an asset doesn't matter, or your $1,000 or $10,000 investment or $100,000 investment doesn't matter to the very large whales and financial institutions, well, you're wrong. They have traders at these firms who specifically target retail investors. How do they do this? They make the markets, and they provide ample amounts, copious amounts even, of bad information and bad technical analysis strategies and education to retail traders. And it's the kind of information that the smart money would never use. And the smart money are called the smart money because they are the top of the financial heap, and they in theory know about things like returns and volatility and entropy. Well, some of them know about entropy, but that number is growing. But the amount of people at the bottom of the heap is by far greater, and their liquidity pools are still just a percentage of the liquidity pools of the big whales at the top. So why would their liquidity matter? Well, their liquidity matters because every day, every second there's a new sucker born, right? There's a sucker born every minute or every second, according to the old P.T. Barnum expression. And the retail traders provide their liquidity by being enticed with bad information, bad tools, gimmicks, if you will, that are proven to fail most of the time, and which the smart money tells them, oh no, this is the way to do it. And they believe it because they're hearing it from smart money or from their minions. And their minions include financial analysts, hedge fund managers, people all the way down the pipe to, bloggers, vloggers, talking heads on TV, talk show hosts, people like Jim Cramer, who are basically puppets for their money bags, their patrons, and even YouTube influencers and Twitter influencers and social media influencers who have large audiences and who have amassed those large audiences precisely because they pump bad information. They don't want people to know good information because that would harm their bottom line, because they make their money by piping those retail traders into exchanges and other places that pay them hand over fist to bring in their fresh blood. Now, why would an influencer want to drive good, hardworking people who have very little to invest into financial ruin, at least when it comes to their trading capital? Well, the answer is very simple. Because they know that the overwhelming majority of traders are poorly educated by the information that they're given, and that even if they were not poorly educated, if they were given the correct information, they would still make basic mistakes. And those basic mistakes are take profit early and often. The retail traders on average do not do this. Limit your losses. The retail traders do not do this. When a trade goes against them, they think they can outsmart the market, and they stay in their position until they get wrecked. And third and finally, don't be emotionally attached to your trades. The retail trader does not do this. They stay in trades, or they get into trades, because they are emotionally attached to the asset. And this is a huge mistake because it means that they're trading on assets that they care about rather than just trading on assets that have good information telling them whether or not they should get in and get out of a trade. And those are the three rules of trading that retail traders ignore because they're not taught them, first of all. And they're taught all kinds of other nonsense like technical analysis and psychology courses, which are not even real. Trading psychology, it's a joke. The only psychology you need is don't be emotionally attached to your trade. Take profit, limit your losses. That's it. Trade as a bot. The bots that run the market truly do run the market. They run 80% or so of all the trades on the market. So why would you want to be emotionally attached to your trades? And why would you want to not limit your loss? And why would you want to not take profit when that is exactly what the bots do? The bots don't have any emotions. They simply run based on algorithms that are calculated to enter trades and exit trades based on the information that they're aware of. And those informations are means, returns, standard deviation of volatility, or standard deviation of returns, and entropy, and things like that. Anyway, those are some things to think about as you go through your trading. And if you find yourself on the other side of the winning trades constantly, you should jump into alpha trading. The website is alphatradinghq.com. The Discord is alphatradinghq.com/Discord. And you can come and learn for free how to trade like the smart money and how to effectively be a smart money retail trader by not using the Voodoo TA tools, by not paying attention and making your trades based on the news or what social media influencers are saying. And there are many studies that you can read about this and demonstrations you can see about this in the Discord of Alpha Trading. Studies written by Harvard professors, Harvard students, other top economic students from universities around the world, and other economists who've demonstrated why retail trading using Voodoo TA or retail, traditional technical analysis is a sure way to get wrecked, and why, in fact, trading with VEPs is a better way, statistically, to be a winning trader consistently and profitably. All right, I'll leave you with that for now. Happy trading.